Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on...
He's probably going to do what, 10% tariffs across the board?
Charge them approximately half of...
I'm sure markets, as efficient as they are, have already priced this in.
So...
Wait, what's that cardboard?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Can Trump do this, like, legally? I'm sure he has a lot of smart lawyers who want this stamp of "I gave advice to the United States president" on their resume.
Cancer is suicide.
The legal grounds for this is more than just because I said so and I'm the president. The authority comes from the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA, IEEPA, but no president has ever used the IEEPA in this way before. It's like using a fire extinguisher to bludgeon to death everyone who owns a lighter and calling that fire prevention.
This feels like a Greek tragedy.
So what is the IEEPA? It was passed in 1977, and it was meant to deal with national security crises, like economic sanctions and freezes, not blanket tariffs based on flimsy math. IEEPA says that the president can regulate imports in an emergency, and Trump essentially said economic policies of U.S. trading partners are emergencies. Voila, a legal theory. A stretch? Yeah. Illegal? Let's see.
Politicians believe that they can manage people's lives better than they can. The best politicians are narcissists.
The U.S. Constitution says that Congress has the power to essentially regulate tariffs and taxes. They have the power to collect and lay taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. And they even further added in the Constitution that all bills for raising revenue shall originate from the House of Representatives. So pretty simple, right? The president doesn't have the authority to do this. It falls under Congress, and he's acted out of line. Case shut. But that's not exactly true. Over the decades, Congress got kind of tired of doing tariff math and started handing over bits of that power to the executive branch. So now we have a patchwork of laws like the Trade Expansion Act, which has sections for the executive branch, the president, to deal with things related to tax in areas of national security, unfair trade, or injury from imports.
Jumpy, jumpy, jumpy. That's got you so nervous, I wonder.
Now, at some point, the courts were supposed to step in and say, hey, Congress, you're not supposed to give away the power to tax. That's called the Nondelegation Doctrine. You can't delegate certain powers to another branch of government, except the courts mostly haven't intervened. The Supreme Court hasn't invalidated a law for excessive delegation since the 1930s. Instead, courts ask if there's a intelligible principle that Congress gives the executive branch, or in this case, the president, in making their decisions. If that principle is, say, national security or an emergency, usually that's good enough.
I wish you and your bird balls the best of luck.
There have been challenges to the non-delegation doctrine and the most recent approaches. Most recently, Trump's earlier tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico about the border, drugs, and migrants got challenged. But courts upheld these tariffs. Even when some of the judges said, this is basically letting the president do whatever he wants, the other judges in majority said, yeah, precedent. It's like watching a referee throw a flag and go, whatever.
No, that wasn't it. It was this.
This round of tariffs Trump justified by saying that the trade deficits constitute a unusual and extraordinary threat to national security and the economy of the United States, therefore constitute a national emergency. And we could use this IEEPA power. Some constitutional scholars have argued that there needs to be a real connection between emergency and the economic action, which might be lacking in this case. We can see some of the problematic implications. The president could just say emergency and just do whatever he wants.
So what do I do?
So what's the solution? Congress needs to step up and start regulating trade policy again. The problem is Congress right now is sort of skewing Republican, and some are pretty loyal to Trump. Even if Congress pushed back like they did with the border emergency case, Trump can just veto again. Then this will go to the Supreme Court, which is kind of Republican skewed again. The route is that people can directly sue, like some nonprofit groups have, but Trump is also targeting the biggest law firms right now.
I'm going to do it myself.
Honestly, the people working for Trump are pretty smart in using this loophole in the separation of powers. No cost-benefit analysis, no vote, no review. They just bypass Congress, the courts, and logic altogether. It's an interesting legal test case for just how far the president can go in taxing the world without calling it a tax. Consumer prices will increase, and this will hurt the poorest people in our populations. The middle class, their savings and retirement funds are already taking a hit. And a lot of people will lose their jobs because of just the decreased economic activity as a result of these tariffs. It'll only get worse when we see retaliatory tariffs from the trading partners.
Doesn't matter. I convinced her to take it back.
It's truly interesting to live through another world event, Liberation Day. I definitely feel liberated of my portfolio gains.
Of silence.